Hello, folks. I am back, and I'm here to talk about the Sauer Romeo X Pro. And before I get to that, please go to Core Essentials website. Check out their belts and all their accessories, and also get 10% off by using my code Keenan10. It's capital K, and then EANON, and the number 10 all together. That again is the capital K, EANON, and the number 10, and get 10% off on all Core Essentials belts and accessories. I will be having a review coming up real soon. I'm just getting everything set up, so that review is coming, and thank you, Core Essentials, for your patience. Now, to get back to the Romeo X, this come in two different flavors. There's going to be the Romeo X Pro, which is for the full size, and the Romeo X Compact, which is for like a P365. One of the things that are the claim to fame to the Romeo X is because it sits very low. As you see, it's very low here, and it sits very low, and you don't need a plate or any other optic plates like other optics. So when I started out using optics, I started using the Vortex Venom. That was my first one. And then there was the Romeo 1, I believe it was the Romeo 1 Pro. And then my favorite one currently is going to be the Holosun 501, the Holosun 507C X2. Now, that particular optic that I like is the reticles. The reticles were easy for me to see on that particular optic. You had a dot, you had the circle, dot, and then you had a circle dot with the crosshairs, similar to like a rifle. On this one, it kind of similarly tries to do the same thing. I did mention that it does sit very low, and you don't need a optic plate or anything of that nature. And it sits very low, and this similarly does the same thing. And I don't know if you can see it. My camera is not going to do this any justice. So right now I have the circle dot. So let me just show you on the computer here. So that's the one I like to use, is the circle dot. And then there's the one over on this side. I believe that when you have the circle, I believe the circle dot, it has a different MOA. And I'm going to try to scroll up to find the info on that. Here's a better view of it. And that better view is right here. You'll see the dot, the circle, and it's like 32 MOA, if I'm correct. And it is correct right here. You have a regular dot is going to be 2 MOA, and then the circle dot is going to be 32 MOA, the circle on the outside. So I'm sorry for all the camera shake and so forth, but I just wanted to make sure that information was correct out to you. This is also a CNC machine 775 aluminum housing on the outside of this. It does sit low, depending on which model you get, whether you have the Pro or the Compact. Some of them will have the tritium, and then some will just have just a regular back. Let's start with the Pro version. The Pro version, you see here, there is a gap right in between here, and it's mating with the regular SIG night sights. It's mating right here. So they intentionally made these so it would look perfect, and so you can see right through this channel, through the sight, to see the front sight. Now, this is what their version of co-witnessing is. So if I can just get it on the right angle, you can see it co-witnesses right in between here. So let's say if your dot dies, you still are able to use your irons. You just use the back, look all the way through. You see your 3 dot sight. goes across, and you have your sight picture. One of the things is it's supposed to be durable, it's supposed to be tough, and you're not going to see me hammer anything. So it is what it is. Now, my experience shooting with this dot is I really like it because it's very simplistic for me. I'm not really a dot shooter that much. I like to shoot irons more so, but I'm trying to break myself into the dot world. I have several firearms with red dots, and like I said, right now I'm comfortable with the Holosun's version, but I'm really getting comfortable with this because it's very, very clean. What I mean by clean is there's nothing to interfere with the inside. Now, a lot of people will look at this and say, well, it looks like the window's not wide enough. And that's what I thought at first, but once you start shooting with this, it's a non-factor. One of the other things is when the Holosun has that big cross-haired circle dot that they have, it's a big window, so that reticle is going to take up a lot of space. With this, it doesn't need the crosshair thing. It doesn't need it. And if I did have the crosshairs in this, I think it would have made this reticle look too busy. And that was the other thing. I was really happy that it didn't make it look too busy. Now I'm going to show you some shooting targets. Now I'm going to tell you there was a big problem that I had, and the problem was related to me. It was my fault that I had these issues, and I'm going to say that straight out. And now if you notice, my shots were in the center here. All of a sudden, they were over here. And I got a little frustrated, couldn't figure out what was going on. So I've shot this firearm several times and had no issues centering it without a red dot. And these shots were great. I think I had like over 50 rounds, and all of a sudden the shots were coming here. Tight group, but wrong placement. Sent the target out to 20 yards. And I thought I was centered here. Some shots went wide, and then I was going to the right again. So I decided on my second range trip, all on the same day. I went to a different range. And I had some more issues. Everything was fine. Right here. Sent it out 10 yards. And then sent it out 20 yards. And all my shots were coming over here. Now, I thought maybe there was something wrong with the dot. Maybe I had a malfunction problem. But it wasn't. What happened was I didn't tighten down the screws enough. So the dot, the whole housing and everything was moving under recoil. So every time I was trying to aim straight, the dot was really, I'll show you on here again, the dot was really over here. So when I turned to use the dot, my shot, what I thought was centered, the shots were coming over here. So the example of that is, if you think your dot is over centered and it's not really centered and it's off here, and you turn that firearm ever so slightly to the right because you're looking to center that dot, that's what will happen. Your shots are going to go off to the right side. And I should have known better. How I caught it was, thank goodness that SIG made this little channel here and made this so I was able to co-witness. I used my iron sights. And that's how I detected the issue that I had. So what I did was later on another range trip, I tightened up these screws a lot tighter. If it already came with Loctite on it, so the fault was I don't like to wrench down on things to make sure I don't break anything, but I didn't tighten it enough where it would stay firm and stay put. So now I tightened it up. Everything is perfectly fine now. Everything is centered the way I want it. My 5, my 7, my 10, my 15, my 20-yard shots are within the 9 ring. And I'm happy with shooting those distances in the 9 ring. So the moral of the story is make sure before you go on your range trip that all your equipment is right. And the second thing on your range trip is make sure you bring your tools. Other than that, this is becoming fastly one of my favorite red dots. I think just maybe, it's right up there with the 507C X2. It's a decent red dot. I would think it's a good combat red dot. It gives you just enough options. It gives you just enough options so that you'll be able to take decent shots, get groups like this. Because face it, folks, most of these red dots are not made for precise shooting or precision shooting. They're made for combat shooting to get you right on target. I really like it. But let me address one other thing before I go. The questions I think people are going to put in the comments are, will this dot fit on any other firearms? Or do you need a plate? Where do you get plates? I can't answer that. I really can't answer that, and I'm sorry I can't. I think maybe something down the line. The foot pattern, my footprint pattern, I understand, is the Delta Point Pro footprint pattern. Also, one of the other things I forgot to mention, you do have a battery case out here. It's easy to access, so you don't have to take the dot off. You can always go on the side, and it's easy to turn or use a screwdriver or a dime or a coin if you want to. But that is the only other thing I could think of. I cannot answer that question of what will it fit on other firearms. Usually when SIG puts out something, it's made for their firearm, and they will put it on, make it for their firearms exclusively, and usually other aftermarket companies usually make plates or whatever to make it compatible with other firearms. With that said, I think it's a winner. And check out the Humble Marksman's video and how he literally just tried to beat this thing up and use it as a hammer. But with that said, happy shooting, stay safe. #2A.